Hey, friends! This is Carrie and welcome back to I Like Reddit channel. Today we have 4 stories out of the Entitled Parents subreddit. Let's begin. Our first story is by Amrinders R16. Karen crashed into my Jeep and expects me to pay her cash for her damages because her children will starve if she pays to fix her car. So, some backstory. I own a Jeep, hashtag Jeep Life, fully built, lift kit, ADD bumpers, and the whole shebang. So one day I'm coming home from work, it's a summer day, the roof is off, and I'm having some open top fun. I stop at a red light and suddenly, screech! Bang! I drive forward slightly and go back to assess the damage, and lo and behold, it's a Mercedes C-Class, new one on that as well. Completely destroyed from the front, and my beautiful Jeep had no damage apart from a few scratches. I went to check out the driver of the Mercedes, got them out, luckily she was unharmed. These Mercedes are definitely safe. Under a minute after she's out of the car, she starts screaming at me about how I wrecked her car. I told her calmly that she was the one who rammed into me. I think she understood how my hitting her would be impossible. I offered to share our insurance details because I knew the Mercedes damage doesn't come cheap, but she said she doesn't have insurance. She insisted that I pay her $10,000 cash. How she got that number, I don't know. I said that was just plain wrong as, number 1, she hit me, and number 2, it was her fault for not having insurance. She then went on to ramble on how her kids needed the money and had no money at the time, and now her kids were going to starve because she will have to pay to fix her car, and how it will be my fault when they are out on the streets tomorrow. Yeah, on the streets with a Mercedes, my butt. That's why you should have insurance. But no, she said that she would call the cops if I didn't pay her. I refused, as this is just dumb, so she called the cops. Yeah, the cops came, assessed the damage, and asked us what had happened. And she said that I, quote, he backed into me at full speed on a red light, shaking my head. Then they asked me what had happened and I told them, and it became a he said, she said situation. Luckily, a shopkeeper was there and saw the whole thing and even captured it on surveillance cameras. Needless to say, I came out on top. The cops caught her for reckless driving and driving without insurance. She then started yelling at the cops about how they would just let a criminal get away. They explained that I did nothing wrong and that they now had video evidence. The partner of the cop came to me and told me that if I could drive, I can leave, so I got in my Jeep and left. Never wanted to have a Karen experience again. It was not worth it. P.S. If you have a lifted Jeep with heavy-duty bumpers, a Mercedes can't do much damage. I wonder if the reason she doesn't have insurance because she's on the high-risk driver list, and so she has to pay the extra premium to be insured, and so she was like, the hell with that, I'll just drive without insurance. And then she just continued driving like a psycho. Well, now she knows why she should have car insurance, because accidents like this, you don't have to pay that much money out of pocket. I'm sure that her bumper is going to be a really expensive fix, but I think if she can afford a Mercedes C-Class, then she could probably afford to fix the thing. She's just trying to get money and sympathy out of people for her plight, for her own stupidity. And it didn't work this time, and I'm glad she got caught. Anyway, on to the next story. This story is posted by Downvote If You See Name. Entitled woman thinks she can get away with assaulting an employee. Turns out she's very wrong about it. I'm one of the shift managers at a well-known and well-loved fast food establishment. We are famed for having some of the hardest working and most respectful employees in the industry. As a manager on duty, I make sure my employees know I have their backs. That brings us to today. Our cast as follows. Me, OP, NG, new guy, AE, awesome employee, EB, entitled bench, EK, entitled kid. So today was rather uneventful. The occasional spill here and there, someone got the wrong thing on their order, etc., etc. Most customers love us and understand when we mess up. We always make sure to make it right, no matter if it costs us a few bucks or 50 for that day. QEB. Now, I was in the manager's office looking over some catering orders due for that day. For some reason, it seemed that the entire city of LA decided today was a fantastic day to order all food in the house, no matter it's good money. I was in the middle of trying to call someone in to give the back of the house some relief from all the massive orders they had now to make. Awesome employee comes in to tell me that there's someone at the front counter who wants to talk to me. I hang up the call, the person hadn't answered yet, and head to the front. There I met EB and her monster child who won't stop screaming. EB: your employee is trying to scam us. I ordered a large ice cream cone and he gave us a small. New guy looks petrified and isn't saying anything. Not wanting this interaction to continue, I say, I'm sure it was an honest mistake. We'll fix that for you right away. The new guy immediately nods his head and heads to the ice cream machine. EB scoffs. An honest mistake, huh? Your honest mistake made my child cry. I demand you make that ice cream free. Me: ma'am, I can either give you a refund or remake the ice cream. Your choice. EB: what? How dare you? You really expect me to pay for it after your employee made a mistake? Me: with all due respect, it seems like you already ate the other cone. Besides, at this point, there isn't any proof that a mistake was made in the first place. We'll replace your ice cream or issue a refund. New guy is walking back with the cone at this point. EB's previous enraged demeanor quickly changed to an almost creepy sweetness. EB: okay, I'll take the cone. Thank you very much. I sensed something was off, so I linger in the area. My spidey senses were on. New guy presented EB with the cone. As soon as he turned his back, I saw EB ready herself to throw the cone right at new guy. Luckily, my reflexes were fast enough to slap the cone right out of midair into our soda machines. I internally cringed, knowing we'd have to do some extensive cleaning on that later. Not wasting time, I immediately turned back to EB. Me: leave our restaurant now. EB: but. Me: now. If you ever come back here, you will be turned away without question. EB gathers up her child, who is now screaming even louder. EB: your food sucks anyway. I hope you go under. I decide escalating the situation would be pointless, so I keep an eye on her until I can see her car driving down the street. I capture an image from the security footage to put on our do not serve list. New guy was shaken up, but insisted that he was fine still working. I gave him 30 minutes paid break so that he could calm his nerves. This occurred all of 2 hours ago, and at this point my blood is still boiling. Edit: as some of you have guessed, the establishment is indeed Chick-fil-A. Certainly not McDonald's. Our ice cream machines actually work. Thanks for the outpouring of support. I am actually fairly new to the management position, so to hear that I handled it well is really encouraging. Wow. The thing that always amazes me about people who act like jerks like this is I wonder how many establishments in the town or city that they live in that they're just banned from because they can't act like decent people. Like they can't go without yelling at people or go without hitting people. Anyway, on to our final story. Our final story is posted by Deleted, entitled Mother at Gamestop, involving the police and me ending up in handcuffs. The cast: EP, entitled Parent; EK, entitled Kids; GM, GameStop Manager; and P, Police. I went to GameStop on Saturday to pick up and chat with a friend and browse the merchandise. I also wanted to get an Xbox X and a PlayStation 4, along with some games. Roughly spend more money than I have ever before. I was there for an hour or two, having conversation with 3 people: one employee, my friend, and the manager. After a while, I was talking with the employee about the specifications between the consoles and the difference between the versions of the PlayStation 4. The manager stepped out for lunch. A short time later, entitled Parent and entitled Kids walked in and rushed to the Switch section. While I was shifting through the games, the employee went to ask them if they needed any help finding anything. She asked some questions, but I tuned them out while me and my friend talked about certain games. About 20 minutes later, I knew what I was getting, and the employee was getting everything together: a PS4 Pro, 2 controllers, a PSVR and 5 games, an an Xbox One X, an Elite controller, an Astro headset, and 4 games. My friend was talking about the game he wanted, and I said I'd get it for him as a favor for helping me out a few months ago. He thanked me, and that was it, almost. The entitled parent and entitled kids saw what was going on and heard me, and they came right over, and the EP asked if I could help her and her children buy them a game. I said no, thank you. She was looking at me like I was crazy and said, "You're buying him what he wants. Why won't you buy my kid something?" I told her that he's my friend and I'm giving him something back after he helped me out. She looked at everything on the counter and said, "How old are you? You're too old to be playing all those games. You don't need them. You should give them to my kids." I said my age is irrelevant. People of any age can play video games, and your children are too young to play the games I'm buying. They're rated M for mature, and I'm not going to buy your children things they don't need. She then tells her kids to beg for video games, and I quickly turn to her and tell her that you're not a responsible adult and parent by teaching your kids to beg for free stuff. She continues to tell her kids as I'm talking to my friend. Suddenly, I'm grabbed by 2 children pulling on me, jumping and begging me to get them something. I gently take their arms off me and keep them away. The kids began crying, and their mother said, "You just touched my children, you pervert. I'm calling the police." A minute before she calls the police, the manager comes back and sees me grabbing the kids and pushing them away, telling me to let go of the kids. I told him the whole story, but he doesn't believe it. He only saw a fragment of the confrontation. The manager talks to the woman, and she completely lies about what had happened. She said that I tried to bribe her to touch her kids while nobody was looking, and even attempted to bribe her with games I was buying. I was laughing at the conversation that was being said, and I said, "Surely you can't believe this." He was already on the phone with the cops. The employee was in the back of the building during all of this, and I thought I was screwed because I've seen issues like this, and worse because people automatically go with the woman's story. I may be wrong in some implications, but it's very common for people to believe women over anything. 10 minutes later, the cops arrive, and when I try and talk to one of them, the entitled parent butts in and gives her story first. She tells the same story to the cops, and the manager tells the same, and the cops look at me, and one of them puts me in handcuffs without hearing my side. I'm totally freaking out about how this has come down onto me being a bad guy based on a lie. I finally get to tell my side of the story. Even my friend backs me up, but I was told her story was more believable than mine. And I said, "You'll believe her without proof? They have security cameras in every corner of the building. Look at the footage and see for yourself." The look on her face was life-shattering. She tried to say that she wasn't going to press charges, but they wanted to keep her here. The manager and one of the officers go look at the surveillance video and soon come out and take the cuffs off me, and they apologize. They ask her why she attempted to lie to them and ruin my life and reputation. She replied with, "He's too old to be playing those games. He should give them to me and my kids." They asked me if I wanted to press charges. I said no, but I don't want her to get a slap on the wrist for this. They talked to her outside, and after identifying her, they found out that she had a warrant out for her arrest for something else. I was just flabbergasted over the whole situation. The manager tried to apologize for how he reacted to the situation, and I just told him I want a copy of the footage. He asked why, and I said, "Ask the cops, because I will be making a complaint on how you presented yourself." A few moments later, I get a copy and go home. I didn't even want the games anymore. A few days later, I found out that store was closed down, awaiting new staff members. I may have caused an issue with the retail manager, but he should have handled the situation more professionally. He should have checked the surveillance video in the beginning instead of calling the cops. If he had done that, then that woman wouldn't have gotten arrested and he wouldn't have been fired. I mainly feel bad for the children involved in this. They're being raised by a crazy woman who thinks that begging and lying is the only way to get what you want in life. I'm always confused by by people thinking that they can get away with this. I mean, almost every establishment you go into these days actually has cameras in it that work. And so this woman thought that the police would not check the camera footage and they would just go with what she said. I mean, that's just completely crazy. But then again, if she already had a warrant out for her arrest for another thing, then I'm sure that this is probably not her first run-in with the law. So this is probably normal behavior for her. Anyway, that's all the stories I have for today. If you like my videos and my content, please like and subscribe to my channel. Also hit the bell notification to let you know when I've uploaded new videos. Thank you for watching and have a great day.